Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundy, what do we got to talk about today?
Oh, not a whole lot. We're recording this a little bit earlier in the week because you are leaving. You're leaving us.
Yeah, I'm leaving for about 9 days, but I'll be back. I'm going down to Tampa for my belated honeymoon. Gonna go see the Lightning game in just 2 short days here, so
Which
hopefully
game are you
it'll be
going
good.
to?
That's Tampa versus the Sharks.
Oh, well, yeah, that's gonna be a fun game to be a Tampa fan at. I can assure you that. No, that'll be awesome. I'm sure that'll be a good time for you guys.
Yeah, originally looking at our plans, it was either the Sharks game or the Blackhawks game, and when we were booking it, I don't believe they had the first overall pick yet, so didn't know Bedard would be there. Although I probably still would have picked the Sharks.
Yeah, I think either one. I think Chicago would be fun because you get to watch Bedard, but against the Sharks, I think it's going to be a pretty easy and dominant win for Tampa. So
Yeah, it's always fun to see a win.
Exactly, yeah, especially when you're traveling all the way down there to see when you want to hopefully at least see a win.
Yeah, would have been if they show up half as much as they did tonight against the Hurricanes, then it'll be a pretty easy win because that was decisive.
What was there? It was 3-0
3-0
today. 3-0.
Yep,
pretty good against team like Carolina.
First shutout, I believe. At least first with the Lightning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it would be his first shutout. So good for him if that is.
Yeah, we limited their chances pretty good, but there was still a couple saves he had to make. He played really well.
And you know what? He's doing exactly what they need him to do right now. They just got to, again, it's just keeping in contention. You don't even have to be at the top, but just keeping yourself in the mixture until Vasilevsky comes back, and then it's completely different for that team. So he's doing exactly what they're needing him to do right now.
Exactly. We just need to try and get as many points early in the season as we can, and he's giving us every chance possible to do that, like as much as can be asked.
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome to see for Tampa. Aside from that, was there any other games that kind of jumped out to you today from around the league? Because I mean, every team was playing today.
No, I haven't seen a ton of stuff from a lot of the other games. And one thing that did jump out to me is, I believe it was 4 assists tonight for Jack Hughes. He's now up to 14 points in 5 games on the season.
That's nuts.
I believe he's second. I believe he's second, only behind McDavid right now in Hart Trophy betting odds. Like, dude,
that's so crazy to think that so many people started to think he was going to be like a bust after his rookie year. I mean, obviously, his rookie year wasn't great, but it was like, I was just shocked at how many people were like he wasn't on that tier of like coming into the league that Austin Matthews was at or McDavid, like that. He didn't have all that hype around him, and I think a lot of people put that on him. And so when he didn't, produce the way Matthews and McDavid did their rookie years, people started to think what they wanted about him, and well, now he's arguably a top 5 player in the league at this current moment.
Right now, it's looking like it's hard to argue against it. He, like even when he wasn't getting the results earlier on in his career, I don't know. I did not watch a ton of his games, but every once in a while, mainly when Tampa played the Devils, but also I'd catch a couple every once in a while, and like it seemed pretty obvious to me that he had the tools. He just had to put it together. Like he was like not like he's 22. 2 years ago when people were writing him off, this dude is literally 20 years old. Like
Yeah.
I feel like too many people think that's like relatively old now because Crosby was able to come into the league at 18, 19 and put up 106 points or whatever he did.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely wild how young he still is putting up the results he is currently.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, sitting at the top of, as of this current moment, tied with Jack Hughes for most points is Dylan Larkin. And then right below him at 13 is Alex DeBrincat. So that duo's been doing uh, a lot of nice things for Detroit already.
When Tampa played them, I think it was our second or third game of the year. Those two, every time they were on the ice, looked fucking lethal. Like
Yeah.
they have, not only are they both good, but they have chemistry and they have speed. They might be a really tough duo to stop.
And you know what? If that's a duo, and I said it, I'm pretty sure I said it. If not, I did think it. Um, Back during the off season, that I wasn't sure if Larkin could, you know, be a number one center in that, star for a team to contend for the cup and whatnot. You kind of need that really big superstar up front. And I mean,
Yeah,
with DeBrincat now, looks like they got two of them. So like that's
absolutely.
phenomenal for them. And it's not one of those things like we saw last year where the chemistry between uh, Barzell and Horvat looked really good at the very start, and then injuries and whatnot, and then that chemistry hasn't looked the same between those two. Um, and it's so I wasn't sure what the chemistry was going to be like between Larkin and DeBrincat, but like to start out like this already is huge for them.
Yeah, and you were saying that you think you said that in the offseason. I know 100% that I said that Larkin would be a great second center on a cup winning team.
Yeah, just couldn't
But you
remember
know,
if I said it, but I definitely was thinking it.
yeah, I know I definitely said that. And it's funny that it's Larkin and DeBrincat because they're two guys that in the past I thought were elite, and going into this year, I was kind of the opinion that they were, maybe on that almost falling out of that level. DeBrincat was more at years out from his 40 goal years with Kane, and Larkin just seemed like his progression was kind of stagnating. But those two have both absolutely proven everyone that they are top line producers and they are here to play.
Yeah, they've from what I've seen, because I have caught some Detroit games, like they're a lot of fun to watch when they're out together. Like that's and good for Detroit. They've kind of been in that middle stage where it's not like they're a bottom of the league team type of thing, but they're not in the playoffs. They're kind of in that really tough spot, and it's you know been like that for a little bit now. So to have this for them now, I think is really awesome for their fans. Because it's been a long time coming for them.
Yeah. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there. 7 games played, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. Shane Gostisbehere on Detroit.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's kind of thrown in and brought in as to be their big offensive defenseman, so he gets a lot of the playing time with Larkin and DeBrincat. So, and he fits that perfectly, that role that they specifically brought him in to do. He's done awesome with that. So
Yeah. 6 power play points. So I got to imagine he's quarterback in that power play.
yeah,
So yeah, that's a couple guys that, everyone knows have the talent to be elite, but they were kind of falling out of graces. People weren't sure if they were getting there, but all three of them showing people how good they can be when they're on.
yeah. Um, One of the things I wanted to ask you right now,
All
and
right.
it's only what, like 2 weeks into the season or whatnot. Do you, from what you've seen so far, do you think that what people were saying at the beginning of the season, is Bedard a lock for the Calder or no?
I mean, I feel like that's pretty easy. No, like he's
Yeah,
been good. I don't see his stats here. I believe I saw earlier that he's 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 6 games. That's
yeah,
good.
he's
That's
he's
pretty.
he's
That's
tied
pretty
for
good for a
second
rookie.
among rookies in points.
Who's he tied with? Cooley or
Logan Cooley, Adam Fantilli, um, Portras, I think is how you pronounce it, on Boston, and then Ridley Gregg is number one with 5.
right? So, I mean, I definitely think he's still a favorite, but tied with a bunch of other guys who are doing just as good. One guy's got more points. I think it's pretty hard to say that he's a lock for it. Um,
And that's kind of what I was
yeah, I
thinking,
mean,
like, going into the season. I was like, I don't think it's, I mean, in terms of if the if the Calder just went to the rookie who has the most skill, like, it's easily Bedard. But I think when you just compare to the positions that other players who are still at a very high skill level are being put into, it in no way does it ever make anyone, a lock. I think for the Calder, just because what's Bedard? I think he's on the second line now with Nick Foligno and Tyler Johnson. And then you look at a guy like Logan Cooley, who's kind of the guy up front with all this, like, really good players that the Coyotes have and whatnot. So, but anyway, I just wanted to ask what your thoughts on that were.
yeah, I think but unless Bedard is 6, 7, or 8 points behind the guy in first for points, I think unless it's that or more, he's probably still going to win it. I think if another guy has 4 more points and 5 more goals, I think they probably still give it to Bedard because they love looking at those franchise players and they want them to have those trophy cases. Um,
Yeah. Well, and I didn't watch, because I don't have ESPN, so I didn't get to watch the whole, like, Frozen Frenzy thing they did today, where it was like jumping between all the games and showing you the big highlights kind of as they happen, whatnot. But apparently, from what I've heard, is that it was a lot of just constantly, like, Bedard over and over again,
yeah.
and he ended up scoring and doing one of Patrick Kane's signature sallies, and then the goal got called back, which I bet they're fucking just rattled about. It was a nice goal, pulls off the celly and whatnot, like in Chicago against the Bruins, and then it's no called back.
Who ended up winning that game? Do you know?
Boston ended up winning 3-0, which brings me
Oh,
to my next point.
oh man, that's their only goal that got called back. Absolutely
Yeah.
brutal.
Um.
It's kind of funny though.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to dive into, dude, fuck. What is with Boston? You take away their top 2 centers, and they are like, they look better than last year.
No.
Like, they're, as of right now, because of their win today, they're 6 and
Yeah.
0, which is, I
They haven't
believe what it
lost?
said. They're tied for the best start in franchise history. So they've never gone 7 and 0 before to start a season, and they very well could. Their next games are against the Ducks, Red Wings, and Panthers. So, like, Boston could be starting off 9 and 0, and not only that, the scores of their games. First game against Chicago, 3-1. Nashville, 3-2. San Jose, 3-1. LA, 4-2. Anaheim, 3-1. And then Chicago, 3-0. So they're getting either 3, and then the one time they got 4 goals.
Yeah.
But their opponent is either 2, 1, or 0. Like, they haven't allowed more than
They're not.
um,
Nobody's
like
scoring against them.
yeah.
They just
And
lost
like
what was Bergeron, a 5-time Selke winner, and
and
nobody
David
can fucking
Krejci,
score on them.
like a great second line center still at his age. And like Pasternak, 5 goals in 5 games. Actually, this isn't updated, so I don't know. Never
They're
mind. So
I definitely
he'd
don't
be at
think
5
they're
goals
gonna.
in 6 games.
I don't think they're gonna keep it going for too long. I mean, so
Dude, I think they are.
On Thursday they play the Ducks, so pencil that in
I
for a dub. But after
I think
that,
we're
they got the
a wagon.
streaking Red Wings, the Panthers, and the Leafs,
Okay,
and
but
then the Red Wings again. Dude, they've got to lose one of those.
dude, this team though, like it's from top to bottom, man, like it's a tough, heavy team to play against. And that works so well for them. Like it's crazy to think that like yeah, they lost uh Bergeron and Krejci and they're playing like this. But man, still just looking at that roster, like it's built so well to play the exact style of hockey that they want to play. Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked
that's
if
crazy.
Boston's right up at the top of the league again this year.
I had not heard about this at all. Honestly, I had heard plenty about the Golden Knights undefeated, the Avalanche undefeated. I hadn't heard a sniff about the Bruins.
Yeah, like they're 6-0. Not only that, all regulation wins, like
I will
they're they're getting
throw
it
out
done.
there though that who have they played? The Blackhawks, the Preds, the Sharks, the Kings, who are a good team, the Ducks, and the Blackhawks. That is a lot
Yeah,
of rebuilding teams.
it is, but like especially I mean it because I watched the San Jose one. They just watching them is
Yeah,
impressive. Just like the way that they play, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you can make that argument based on the teams they've played, but I think once they even start playing against those
6 wins in a row
better teams at
against
the
any
top,
teams is impressive for sure.
yeah,
But it will be interesting to see how they do against the Red Wings, Panthers, and Maple Leafs specifically. Those 3 teams coming up against them. It'll be
yeah,
a bit more telling,
yeah.
especially since those
Those will
are
be
all
their
in your
biggest
division.
challenges as of that moment in time. But I'm sitting here now and I can't do it back to back years. I can't just write the Bruins off.
The instant I put my yearly $5 on the Bruins to miss the playoffs, uh, something courses through their veins,
Yeah.
and maybe I should have put it on them to make the playoffs because then they probably would miss.
Yeah. Couple more notes. The Oilers are bad. They're the exact opposite of the Bruins. Like they are bad.
It's like almost the exact inverse scenario too. Like the Oilers were good and people expected them to get even better this year and be like legitimate threatening for the cup. And they've completely regressed. They're 1-4-1 so far this year.
Yeah.
And when they're losing, they're getting fucking throttled.
Yeah. Like today, they were up what was it, 3-2 against Minnesota going into the third, and they lost 7-4. Like just got absolutely railroaded. What was the other thing I wanted to say about them? Oh, I saw it on uh, Twitter, and I thought it was so funny because it's just so fun seeing things come full circle. I don't know if you heard about it or not, but it was I can't remember what game was it. They were playing. the they're playing
Yeah.
Winnipeg,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it was a Winnipeg game. Yeah, and it was whatever. I can't remember when it was exactly, but Kane like hardly played in one of the periods and was just kind of sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And so then he went out and got in a fight and whatnot. And then during an interview, he was saying, he made a comment being like, well, I'm not even playing. So I figured I might as well go out there and do something useful or something like that.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that took it the wrong way and are like making him sound like he's whining and being problematic again, like naturally with his reputation, it just blows up.
Of
Like,
course.
and it's so funny now watching all the Oilers fans now trying to defend him and be like, "Oh, you're blown out of proportion," because it's the exact thing Sharks fans did for years when every little thing he did was getting blown out of proportion. Which I don't like. His comments, people are making it sound way worse than it is. Like it's harmless, but it's just so funny now seeing a different fan base
They're a little
trying
damning
to.
of not damning. They show that he's a bit upset that he was benched. He probably, it sounds like I have to assume he probably thinks he should have been, he shouldn't have been short shift or whatever was going on. But it's not, he's not coming out saying buy me out. He's not like it's not that
Well, it's
much.
also like if that's a guy on my team, like I think that's awesome. He is sitting there like, okay, yeah, I'm not playing well right now, so like I'm not playing well when I'm out there, so I'm sitting on the bench now. So when I go out there, I might as well, get in a fight and try and spark something for the team at least. Like if you're not contributing defensively or offensively, you might as well go out there and try and spark the team with a big fight or something. Like I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Did
But it's
you
just
see
so
the
funny
fight? Do you know
seeing
how
the
he did in it?
sorry.
Do you know how he did in the fight? Did it like have you seen
He
it?
that was the fight against his his former teammate Brendan Dillon, who's now in Winnipeg, and it
Oh,
was a
he's a
good fight.
customer.
Like they were chucking some good bombs at each other. It was a good fight.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, as long as he was like throwing hands in that fight and like legit, because some fights are both guys kind of wrestle a bit and then it's over. But if
Yeah,
he's out there legitimately fighting, throwing bombs, you know what? That kind of shows he's trying to show, hey, I'm out here doing my best.
yeah, exactly. But in the end, the Oilers did lose to the Jets in overtime. So at what cost? As the Oilers are now 1-4-1, which is not the start I think anyone had predicted for them. Same with Pittsburgh, also 2-4. I don't know if it's updated from today. They might even be worse now.
Yeah, but who's getting ready to
Yeah,
break
they're
out
they're two
and
and
make the
four.
playoffs? The 2-2-1 St. Louis Blues.
No, they're not. Because by that logic, the 3-1-1 Flyers, who might become 4-1-1, make the playoffs.
No, 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 no. No, that's entirely different.
Philly's cooking right now, though.
Yeah.
Like they're on the ropes of handed Vegas their first loss.
Yeah, at the exact time we're recording, exactly 10 minutes left in the third period, 2-1 Flyers.
Yeah, so I mean, like I don't know. Philly's kind of cooking there with Torts. It's
Yeah.
good for them.
One other thing, kind of throwing back to what we were saying either one or two episodes ago, but Ovechkin. We were talking about how he was held shotless
Oh,
for a bit, 2 games in a row for the first time in his career. No goals
uh,
yet. Well, tonight he had a goal. He scored on one of his 14 shots on goal tonight.
the funniest thing is his goal was like a cross crease pass to him, tap an empty netter. Like it wasn't even like an OV one timer. He walks in and does this quick snapshot. Like it was an empty net tap in.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that sparks something for him, and he can get it going because the Capitals. I don't think either one of us thought the Caps were
No, I'm
playoff
pretty
team
sure
this
we
year.
both had them I had them pretty low, and I think you had him in the same spot I did in our predictions, and I was surprised by that because I thought I was pretty low on him. But I mean, Ovi basically is the team over there, and dude's 38. Like, he's freaking good, but he's 38 years old, and skating has never been a strong suit. Like,
You know what exactly position they're in? They're reaching that um, area that the Sharks were in. Now,
yeah,
worked out better for them because they won a cup with their core.
yeah,
San Jose obviously didn't, but now they held on to them and they kept trying to run it back with them, and they've reached a point now where they were so mediocre for so long there, where they're not contending for a cup, but they're not getting those top draft picks. And then everybody's getting older. Like Carlson's getting up there, Ovi, Backstrom, Oshie, and you can't really do much with them now. Like, and I don't think any teams are really. I mean, I think we kind of established Ovi's never leaving. Uh, but moving any of those other guys now can't be done. And even Kuznetsov, who has already requested for a trade due to his contract, they can't move him either.
yeah. He does not look great.
So
Like,
they're stuck in that spot now where it's right off into the sunset with your your veterans, your guys that you know won you a cup, and then start from square one, and you got to go through a long rebuild process.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
and
it's it's not it's going to be a long time before Caps fans are
what,
happy with the team again.
yeah,
The
and
current state of the team. Oh,
you know
it's
what
just scored.
and it kind of makes sense because
Fuck.
you know they obviously want Ovi to get his record, and you know they got their cup, so they could be happy with that, and they'll surround Ovi with people to score for a couple more years, and then he'll break the record, and they'll officially start the rebuild, and it'll be a long
Mhm.
road, but you know at the end of it, they got what a lot of people think is the greatest goal scorer of all time. They got their Stanley Cup for him and the team. And they're probably also going to retire Backstrom's number. There's a good chance they'll retire John Carlson's number. Like they
Yeah, I
got a
think
lot
those
of
three
this
are kind
run.
of the three that I think are going to go down and as some of the biggest legends for the Caps. So I think all three probably do get there.
Those
Well,
three and Peter
Ovi and
Bondra.
Ovi and Backstrom for sure, like 100%. I'm like 99% sure that John Carlson will as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Those three and Peter Bondra are on the Capitals Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Also, I always like looking at things from the opposite perspective because it makes me feel better because the Sharks are absolutely terrible. Like they
Of
are
course.
very bad. Um, but
For
so
now.
we always talk about like when the season starts when we're like talking about the Oilers and it's like you can't be dropping all these games at the start because it makes catching up so difficult to
Hmm.
get in the playoffs and catch those teams above you. But then I'm looking at like so kind of the two teams that everyone predicted to be the bottom two in the league is the Sharks and the Flyers. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I say Philly gets 1 point. Through 6 games, they've got 8 points. And then through 6 games, the Sharks have one. And San Jose is not getting any better this year. And
Yeah.
all these contending teams that they're going to be playing down the road are only going to get better. And so then I think goes a long way, like we saw last year, um, where the team that starts out really bad is kind of the bottom team for the majority of the year, and maybe they bounce around here and there, but they usually kind of will stay at the basement, which
Yeah.
sucks because
They only
Sharks
really
games have been
have
so boring to watch.
yeah,
But
that's rough. And
Brady's
their only
highlights have been
real
good.
competition at the moment is the Ducks for bottom of the
Maybe the
league.
Oilers. Maybe the Oilers. Also,
But like, yeah, who else is down there at the bottom? Like the Oilers and the Ducks are really the only ones that are that close, and the Oilers are obviously gonna, even if they don't make the playoffs, they're not gonna stay that low.
yeah,
Like, yeah, the only team even closer than that is, like we said, Washington. But I think Washington's gonna pick up a couple more games than they
yeah.
have been.
In no world do I see Washington with the players that they have. Like, even though I kind of just shit on them a bit, but even with those players, regardless, there's no way they finish below San Jose. Like,
Uh,
there's no chance.
if you could do me a solid and DM the San Jose Sharks on Twitter and tell them to start Kakinen against the Lightning and not Blackwood, I would appreciate it.
I think they will be starting Kakinen because
I freaking hope so,
the last
because
two now.
the Sharks are 0-5-1, and Mackenzie Blackwood, a 906 save percentage on a team doing that bad. Dude's playing good.
Dude, he's playing very good. Oh, I know, like Kakinen will be playing the next game.
So that's definitely respectable. Also, obviously, the team just has not scored many goals in that game,
Dude,
so
they can't score.
Their
The Sharks
stats look
can't
pretty
score
bad.
as a whole.
Yeah, most of the players' stats look pretty bad, but Tomas Hertl still 5 points in 5 games.
Dude, he's doing everything he can. Well,
He's
he's
literally doing everything right now.
He's gonna be at 5 points in 6 games now.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
they
Geez, 5
they
games
can't
in.
score. Dude,
5
like
games
they
in, and
can't
you've
score.
got 2 guys with 2 points, Hertl with 5, and everyone else has 1 or 0.
The only one that would change is Zetterlund would have 3.
Yeah.
And then Bordlow and Eklund would have 2, but like still.
Is he is Zetterlund in a contract year? Is he going for bank?
No, he signed a 2-year deal. I'm pretty sure. Dude, like it's bad. I'm hoping that it'll turn around a bit, like, because probably 2 of their best current 5 players, I would say at the time, Couture and Granlund, are both out injured. So I'm hoping when they come back that'll help kind of
Couture
spark the
is
offense a bit and create some depth.
at worst, Couture is a second line center, and Granlund is pretty good in his own right as well. Like that's especially with you guys lacking the depth you are. Those are important players to be missing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, and then it doesn't show it on here, but he had 2 points in 2 games. Henry Thrun, but he got sent down to the AHL. So our best offensive defenseman is now in the minors.
Honestly, like I felt like he was good enough to
tough.
stay up, but like, you know what? I don't doubt that they just want to protect him by keeping him in the AHL. So I'm not even going to say it's a bad decision.
The only reason is because he was the one defenseman who didn't have to go on waivers. And like
sense.
obviously they're not going to send like a Vlasic down to the AHL.
Yeah.
Who's already been benched twice, I think, so far this season.
Oh, like healthy scratched or just benched?
No, yeah, like full on sitting in the press box.
God, that's rough.
Thing is as much as I love Vlasic and everything he's done for San Jose, like I would make a very solid argument. I won't go full in depth because I would have to do the research, but I do know it exists. But Vlasic in his prime was arguably a top 3 defenseman of all time.
He was really good defensively.
Like when he was in his prime, and I thought his contract was a steal, honestly, when he signed it. But like in his prime, especially San Jose's run to the Stanley Cup final in 2016, like this if it's possible to find the stats from him in the playoffs that year was nuts. From how much he completely shut down and like the opposing team's top line like never scored, and the opposing team's power play like never scored. Um, but they can buy him out at the end of the year is what I'm getting to, because then he'll only have 1 year left on that deal. Or I mean, the way the team looks right now, probably not going to be good next year. Then you just ride out that final year. So
Trade it for Oliver Ekman-Larsson. 1 year left on an expiring deal. Trade for an even worse contract.
yeah, yeah.
Come on,
Let's
Vancouver.
hope not. Let's hope not. But so that's kind of tough when. Oh, never mind. He's got 2 years left after this. Yeah, he ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Nah, buckle up.
He's staying.
And
That's
you know what?
crazy, though.
Maybe he's really good for the press box, though. Maybe he's a good time up there.
Like, yeah, I think I hyped San Jose up a little bit too much, but I also think that the players I was high on, like especially Eklund and Bordlow, I think would, and honestly even Zadina, I think would all drastically do better under a different head coach.
Who's your current head coach?
David Quinn.
Right.
Who is kind of famous for stunting
Yeah.
Capo Caco and Lafreniere with the Rangers. And yeah. Anyway, enough being doom and gloom on that.
No, this is a
got way
good
off
thing.
track.
You want to lose so you can get first overall.
Dude, because you know Chicago's just gonna fucking win the draft lottery.
I swear to God, man. I swear to God, if it happens.
Not. I think Bedard's gonna start to heat up a bit and pull them a little bit further away from the bottom. So their odds won't be as good.
I don't know if it matters what they say the odds are. But we can tinfoil hat about that another time. What else do we got? I guess McDavid being injured.
Yeah, he's gonna miss the Heritage Classic.
Yeah, he's out 1 to 2 weeks.
Rasmus Anderson, who will still be suspended after the NHL rejected his appeal.
Yeah.
Which I think rightfully so. I think that was a garbage play by Anderson. I think honestly and maybe it's just because I've watched a lot of Calgary games because I'm in the area and whatnot, but he's been getting away with stuff like that for a while. And
I definitely don't think he's done anything this bad before. I think he pulls some borderline hits every once in a while, you know, because everyone's saying that he's got no history, and so they should maybe go a bit lighter on him. But
which is the thing, he doesn't have a history, but I think he's gotten away with things not exactly like this, but kind of similar before. Not a stupid amount of times, obviously. But I think this is fair. I think, especially just on the premise of it alone, like you can't argue anything other than I was trying to injure him. Like, there's really, like, it's the game's over, you lost, you're frustrated, you see a guy defenseless falling down, so you jump up into him and crank him. Like, there's no justification other than I was trying to hurt him. So
yeah, and there was some guys on, I think it was TSN or ESPN, one of these sports talk shows. They were talking about the suspension, and one of the guys, I think he was correct, but I don't like it. That he said that intent matters, and since it was in the final seconds, they're going to throw the book at him. But if it happened with like 2 minutes left, they probably wouldn't have near as hard, because it's not like the game is over at the point he hit him.
Which I could see that.
I think that's probably part of why he got the 4 games, which is a long suspension compared to what they normally give out. But I definitely don't think that should be a factor. Like, like if a hit like that is vicious. If you do it in the first period, I don't care. Freaking same amount of games, right? I get what they mean, that like you can infer, if you want to be like, I know what kind of player Rasmus Anderson is, and make a personal opinion on him because of that, that's totally fair. But for them to suspend him differently because of the time of the game it happened or the circumstance of the game, I think is just wrong.
And yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think a big thing also that I'm kind of my takeaway from it more than anything is like seeing the amount of people that think like the suspension was too harsh. And they're like, again, like you said, he has no history. It's like, how do you give a guy 4 games? But it's also like, it's nice to see that there's actual harsher suspensions coming out for headshots. Like this is what
Absolutely.
we've been calling for however long. Oh, Vegas just scored with 30 seconds left, so they will go to 7-0.
Come
Which
on,
that
Philly.
sucks.
Philly.
Dude,
What are you
Philly sold.
doing?
Philly sold. Shea Theodore just ripped one, man. Flyers,
Flyers
I'm
L, bro.
like, this is the only Flyers content I've watched all season because
Because obviously.
they don't show Grady as much on TV anymore. But like, man, they block a lot of shots.
Oh, you got to
Like
when
they're
you're playing
doing
for
in front
Torts,
of
otherwise you're not on the ice.
everything. Damn, Flyers sold. But no, what I was saying is it's just nice to see that, the first real bad headshot of the season is already like, boom, a 4-game suspension here and kind of like set the tone early. And maybe it's just tough for Anderson because he's the one they're making an example out of. But at the end of the day, if this is the mark that they're kind of setting and going forward with, I think it could be awesome for the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah, the very rare W for the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen often.
No, it does not.
I don't believe I had anything else.
I
I think
got
that was
one
kind
more.
of all.
I can't believe we almost glossed over this. This was big. Travis Dermott, just the other night, 1 or 2 days ago, uh, was the first player that in a game outwardly defied the league's ban on the use of pride tapes in NHL games. And
Yeah, he had a little mark of it on his stick.
yeah, and absolute respect to Dermott for just going with it and just saying fuck it. What are they going to do? And turns out nothing. They have. I don't believe it's officially been put out, but I believe that a lot of insiders are saying that the NHL, the NHLPA, and the NHL Player Inclusion Coalition are going to make an announcement imminently on allowing players to put whatever stick tape they want on.
Yeah, which is kind of what I figured was gonna. I think actually what we kind of both
Yeah, because
figured would end up
what else
happening.
were they
Like as
going to
soon as
do?
one guy did it, exactly.
Like, you can't ban him for that. That looks a million times worse than one of your guys saying, "I'm not going to wear the Pride jerseys," which is what
Yeah,
this came down to in the beginning. If
yeah.
you
All
if
they
you
could
banned
do
the guy
is
for it, like, or you suspended him or fined him, it just would have made the league look so insanely bigoted that, like, not only would that lose probably a good chunk of fans and would piss off a lot of people, but like, that's big enough. Like, I feel like SNL would be making fun of you. Like, at that point, you're a fucking laughing stock.
yeah,
So you know what? Now, not only are they stupid, but now they're spineless and stupid. So I guess just
yeah.
try and do better next time, NHL.
Yeah, like we kind of knew this was how it was going to go. All they could really do is be like, "Hey, we say no," and they just hope and pray that everyone listens to them.
Yeah,
Like it was
they really
pretty
hoped
obvious
that
it
everyone
wasn't going to take
was.
long for someone to be like, "No, I'm gonna use it," and then they
Yeah,
can't do anything about it.
yeah. I think they were really banking on them being, typical hockey players. not trying to stir anything up. I'm just going to focus on my game and don't want to distract the boys because that you never hear that about any other sport, do you? Like I don't want to distract from what we're focusing on. I feel like you don't hear that a ton with other sports, but that's such a massive thing with hockey. Like
Yeah.
nobody's allowed to have an ounce of personality or they're distracting.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's definitely not a great way to market the league.
There's definitely a lot of things that they could do better for sure. Um, so to kind of wrap up here, because I think we're kind of at the tail end, I did have one thing left. Um,
Sure.
I'm not sure if you've heard about it yet, because it's only kind of come up within the last 24 hours. It's starting to sound like Noah Hannafin might be staying with the Flames,
I have heard nothing about this.
which I'm very shocked by because I was very certain he was not going to resign. He wanted out. But it's starting to sound like it's really starting to pick up between the two of them on a contract extension, which could happen at any moment now, really. Um, so that's good for Calgary because I thought there was no way he was going to be sticking around. It's interesting also that I think probably kind of the biggest of their four at the time when it sounded like none want to stay. Elias Lindholm is going to be the last one without a
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, how is Lindholm the last guy? Like that's the
Like I
one
mean,
you need to sign.
To Foley, like Connor was quick to be like, all right, see ya, ship you off to New Jersey. Backlund, I mean, makes sense because they wanted to make sure he was signed so they could name him captain for the season. Like I get that,
Yeah.
but so they're kind of prioritizing the defensive or the two-way play of Hannafin a little bit more, which fair enough. Like defensemen like him are kind of hard to come by. So,
I
but
guess, but
again,
I mean,
like Lindholm also
if
is.
you're talking about a two-way force on your team, there's not a ton better in the league than Elias Lindholm. It's
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully they
So
leave enough room in the coffers to pay him what he's worth because he's an important part of that team. And at the very least, you want to be able to trade him and get some value from him because a guy that caliber, you can't let a guy like that walk. Not unless you're like very seriously competing for a cup. And
yeah,
with the team they currently have, even if they make the playoffs, unless they're on a fucking heater going into the playoffs, you you can't look at this team and go, "This is one of the favorites." So
yeah.
hopefully they either extend them or they start
I'll also say with
maybe talking around, kicking tires, seeing who wants them.
I'll also say with Calgary though, like I mean Huberdeau right now, like 4 points in 7 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Uh, Coronado 1 goal, 1 assist in 7 games. Kadri 0 goals, 1 assist in 7 games. Like, were did they just completely stop after the preseason? I thought those were kind of three of Calgary's better players or guys that looked really good throughout preseason and was expecting them to come out flying to start the year, and they've done almost the exact opposite, especially Kadri.
Yeah, they have not looked hot so far. It's
It's
yeah, that's rough, man. There's a lot of teams that are looking shockingly bad. Like either I have the memory of a goldfish, or I swear this doesn't happen like every year. But like, there's a lot of teams that are supposed to be good that don't look great. You know, Carolina looks like they're really struggling. Tampa looks fine, but not fantastic. The Oilers are abysmal. The Flames are disappointing. Like, there's a lot of teams that were expected to be really good that are just very mid right now.
yeah. Yeah, Pittsburgh like has been struggling. Yeah, man. It's been a weird start to the season right now. That's for sure. I mean, Philly almost beat Vegas, but they sold.
Yeah.
So
The Canucks are looking pretty good so far.
the Canucks are actually looking pretty good,
4-2-0, second in the Pacific.
which is huge because like the kind of big thing was whether or not Pedersen would re-sign with the Canucks largely depended on how they do this year. So, the team's got a lot on the line riding on this season. So everybody's kind of uh, just been giving her for them. So it'll be interesting to see if that, kind of continues or if it's, kind of like a Buffalo thing where it's a hot start and then the big losing streak comes and kind of puts you out of it.
Yeah,
I guess
and
that is the
Quinn
Buffalo thing.
and not just Pedersen, but Quinn Hughes as well, like has looked fantastic to start the year. I'd almost argue
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes has been the best player on their team so far this year. Like they've both looked phenomenal so far.
Yeah. And then even Besser, like the amount of goals he's putting up, given it sounded like he probably wasn't going to be with the Canucks after the deadline last year and then after the draft and then after free agency. And he's still here. So I'm playing very well.
Yeah. Quinn
But
Hughes,
other
one
than
goal,
that,
5 assists, 6 points in 6 games, plus
yeah.
eight in those 6 games. I think the other night he just had his first goal against while he's on the ice as well.
Could we potentially see a Jack Hughes, like Hart or Art Ross, a Quinn Hughes Norris, and then a Luke Hughes Calder?
Definitely
Like that would be
possible.
nuts.
Definitely possible.
I think it's a long shot on Luke Hughes to win the Calder. But like it's not out of the question. But like that would be
That's
really
definitely
cool
the
to
hardest
see.
one, but uh, I think there's absolutely nothing stopping the other two from winning those respective awards. Honestly, like all they have to do is stay the course, play their game, play good, and hope that nobody else has a historically good season. I mean, frick, what do we
Well,
talk? What do we say about Jack Hughes? He's at like 3 points a game right now.
yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy. But other than that, I had nothing else to talk about. So I think we're kind of good to wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think so.
Right on, right on. Well, thank you to everyone for listening to yet another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. We're still kind of running the same schedule. Fridays at noon. Uh, Maybe a couple episodes here and there. Obviously, that'll um, happen more or happen in general. Once Braden's back from his big Tampa Bay trip,
Yeah,
where he might, we don't know yet. I'm going to say this, and maybe he does it or not. Maybe there will be some pictures or cool highlights from his trip over on the Instagram. We don't have anything on it right now, but maybe soon. We are over there on Instagram at SEEU Hockey. You can find us on there. And then we are also over on Twitter/X at the exact same handle at SEU Hockey as well. Feel free to throw us a follow on there. We keep saying we're going to post on them and get them going. We haven't got around to it yet, but maybe soon.
I've got when I'm down in Tampa, I think I'm gonna have a couple. While going around, I think we're going to Orlando for a bit, so I'll have a couple train trips. Maybe I'll hop on there and I'll post some videos or pictures from the game while I'm down.
Yeah, there you go. He said he's gonna do it, so make
I've
sure to
said I'm
sauce
going
us
to
a
do it, so
follow,
now I
and
have to.
you can see his magical trip over there, where obviously there will be some hockey content. So thank you to everybody for listening, and we will catch you guys in the next one.